Hello, listeners. My name is Charles Scott. The program which you're about to listen to is called Can We Talk? I'm here with my son.
Charles Scott Jr. How you guys doing today? And like I said before, if you missed episodes, just go online, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter. We usually have our episodes backed up each week. And it's a very informational show, not just about real estate, but helping you out in life in general.
Well, today, we want to talk about some of the listings that are out there and what you need to do to get ready to list a property. There's basically two things. One is the sellers and one is the buyers. And you have a lot of different avenues out there for buyers. For example, usually when we talk to some of the buyers, they'll mention some of the websites, which we were going to go by today and give you a preview of how these websites work and the names of some of the websites. But again, we've been in this business now, I have for almost 40 years. Mm-hmm. And, I've been the president of the Greater Bridgeport Board of Realtors and president of the New Haven Waterbury Board of Realtors. So had a lot of experience in dealing with different issues. One thing I can say is that, nothing changes but change itself, and then everything sort of goes full circle.
I will say people realize that real estate goes in cycles. Just sometimes some cycles are longer than the other. What goes up must come down, but people are going to see that they're looking for this real estate crash. I saw a meme on the internet saying, where's this crash at? Been looking for it since 2020. So right now we're looking at a price adjustment. That's what I'll call it.
One of the other things we want to mention, I ran into someone the other day and they said they were waiting for the prices to go down, or they were saving enough money to be able to put more money down. Mm-hmm. I want to explain to you sort of like how that works. If you're out there and you're looking to save more money to put down on purchasing a property, sometimes that theory doesn't work properly. The reason why is this. Let's say, for example, a property is selling for, let's say, $300,000, and you're putting down 3.5%, which you can do. In some cases, you could put as little as 3% down. Mm-hmm. So 3% of $300,000, what's that, $9,000 that you're putting down. Now that's not including the closing costs. What are the closing costs? That's your that's your
attorney fees.
Attorney fee, your inspection, your appraisal, your insurance. Maybe the bank is going to charge you some fees and points. Mm-hmm. And you add all of that up, and that's going to be your closing costs. But as far as the down payment, if you have to put 3% down on a $300,000 house, that's $9,000. So if you've saved up, let's say $20,000, and you say, I'm going to save more money. So let's say it takes you a year to save up another $10,000. So now here we are a year later, you have $10,000 more to put down. Mm-hmm. Usually with the principal and interest, if you put $10,000 down and base it on like $5 per thousand, you're only going to reduce your mortgage payment by about $40.
Don't say that, $45, $50.
Yeah,
people don't realize those little numbers right there. When you put more down, although it's a hefty chunk of money, you think about a 30-year mortgage, stretch over 30 years, it's only going to make a little bit of an impact.
So by saving $10,000, you reduce your mortgage by about maybe $40. Now, the problem is that $300,000 house now is $350,000 because mm-hmm. the price went up. So in the long run, you're actually paying more in your mortgage payment by waiting and saving that money up.
Exactly.
Because the bottom line is, because the cost went up while you were saving the money, you're now going to have a larger mortgage payment every single month for the next 30 years. So you're better off have put the less amount down and jumped in before the price went up.
And also with the house being more expensive now you got to think about the payment overall, and also the surrounding properties. For people that sit on the sidelines and wait, okay, I'm going to wait till this goes down. You got to realize when something goes down, the interest rate going down, that's going to allow more people to come into the market, and that's going to be more of a bidding war, like we saw during COVID when we had 3% interest rates, 2% interest rates.
So you're better off buying when you can. In other words, people say, what's a good time to buy? Well, a good time to buy is different for different people. Mm-hmm. If you're paying rent and you got a high rent, and let's say you living in Norwalk, Stanford, and you're paying $3,000 a month for rent, and you can get a mortgage and buy a house, and it's going to be the same thing or less, well, for that person, it's a good time to buy. If you don't have a lot of money and you've got a little income, for you, it might not be a good time to buy. So you got to analyze your finances. You got to look at how much money you've saved, and then you got to find out what, it's the market doesn't really make that much of a difference. It's when you're ready to buy and make that decision. The first step is to go into a mortgage or a bank and get pre-approved, or find out what is going to be required of you to buy a house.
And also, I tell people, remember when you're looking for a mortgage, try to look local. I see a lot of people coming at me with these apps they downloaded or they saw it in a Super Bowl commercial. Try a local lender, credit union, or like a bank that's in your state, because you may not realize there could be programs that can help you out that the national brand may not even know how to use.
So like I said, when I started out, I wanted to talk a little bit today about the different ways of looking for a house. So if people are out there looking for a house, you might want to listen, because this program we're going to specialize in where do you go to find a property. Well, number one, the first and the most popular is through a real estate agent. A real estate agent has what they call the MLS, multiple listing service. That means we as real estate agents have all of the properties mostly that are out there for sale, unless someone's selling a house on their own and for sale by owner, then it may not be on the multiple listing service. The multiple listing service, that's an agency that collects all of the properties for sale, where all the real estate agents, they send in the property and they say, okay, I'm a real estate agent, here's 3 properties you can put on the listing. MLS. Then another agent, he has 3 or 4. And the other one may have 1. So if you take a total of, let's say, 500 real estate agents, and they all send their properties in to the listing, and each real estate agent has access to that information. So I have access to all the other realtors' information, all the listings that they put on there. So if you come into my office and you say, okay, I'm looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch in, let's say, Naugatuck, Connecticut. So I go into the computer, I put 3-bedroom, 2 baths, Naugatuck, and you give me a price range. Now, it's going to show me all the houses with that specification. Now, those houses may be listed by different real estate agents. So my next step now is to find out, first of all, if the house is still for sale, because things go pretty quickly.
Now, people are going to say, before I got to the office, I went on Zillow and saw if the house was still active. But the thing is, you don't realize that my father or me look on the computer, we're going to see real-time data. Because Zillow's going to be outdated. Zillow's not always up to date. It may say active on Zillow, but on our computer, it'll say under contract. It could say continue to show. It could say withdrawn. So make sure anything you see on your phone, I would say verify with an agent, because we're going to have access, like my father said, to MLS, which is the real-time, up-to-date data that all these apps draw from.
On top of that, let's say you saw the property, say on a Sunday, and on a Sunday, all the people came down and they all saw that house, and someone put an offer in on that house, and let's say Monday morning, the seller decided on an offer and signed a contract. Now the agent hasn't had a chance to change it in the computer, so I call and I say, John, I have a client that wants to see this property here, and I'd like to set up an appointment for tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And he will say to me, well, we just took a deposit and the seller just signed a contract. So we have a contract to sell that property, but we are going to continue to show. What's that mean? That means that you cannot put an offer in and get your offer accepted, because they already have one accepted. But you can still look at it, because if the other offer, remember, when the other offer is accepted, that means they have a contract. But in the contract, it states that they are going to have an inspection and they're going to have it appraised. And so let's say that they go out and they do the inspection and they find things that are wrong, and the seller says, I'm not fixing it. So now that contract can be canceled because it was contingent upon the inspection.
And I was going to mention that you wouldn't believe how many clients we've had in the past. We've gone to see a house that had an offer on it. We put it as a backup offer. That first offer fell apart somehow, and our client got the property because they put an offer in, fingers crossed, saying that they're going to be a backup offer. And it was one of our clients a couple of years ago. I remember that also happened, where the first offer fell through, and they got the house. And lucky they did get the house. The prices went up, dramatically after that.
So you gotta, be very aware of how the system works. So that what happens is that when that other contract is accepted, we can still look at some of the properties, but we try to, let you know that your offer it's not automatic that you're going to be able to get that particular property.
It's a backup offer.
You might want to look at it, and then you may not even like the property after you look at it and say, well, forget about it, let's move on to the next one anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But the agent sort of like, is sort of like hedging his bets by making sure he can get as many people to look at the property as possible. So that's with the multiple listing service, we are, more up to date. The rules state that any agent, if you get a property, you're supposed to list it immediately within the 48-hour period and make any changes. So our information is pretty current. Now you have other websites out there. Now remember, the other websites, they are not real estate companies. They are marketing. In other words, they're an organization that got together that takes the information from the real estate agents and from the multiple listing, and they share it on their websites. Because after all, if you're selling your property, you don't care how many people share the information. Your main object is, as a seller, is to sell the property. The more people see it, the better.
More the better.
More the better. So you don't care if other websites show the property or share the photos. Mm-hmm. So some of those websites I'm going to go over with you today. Let's say the most popular one might be Zillow.
Yep, there you go.
You could talk a little bit about Zillow.
Yeah, Zillow, like I said before earlier, when you go on Zillow, the information is, I'll say, accurate, but it's not always up to date. For example, I had a customer show me a house. He sent it to me that morning. I looked online. It was under contract. But on Zillow, I looked at the bottom of the screen. It said last updated 2 o'clock in the morning. So that agent didn't put under contract until 8 o'clock in the morning. So Zillow does a refresh, I'll say, every couple hours. It depends on the property, too, and also where it's located. Remember, Zillow has hundreds of servers throughout the United States. They have a lot of data to keep a handle on. So when these MLSs are up to date constantly, they have to decide when are we going to update our servers. So that's why it's always have a realtor, look at these properties, because I'm going to see a lot more information than Zillow's going to show you. Zillow's not going to show you the flood insurance line or the flood map, or it's not going to show you any of the confidential agent notes. For example, if there's an underground oil tank. So like I said, when it comes to Zillow, although it is a very good app, do not take everything on that app, with, say, a grain of salt. Send it to your realtor so they can review it and make sure that it's accurate.
Another thing you got to realize is that Zillow, the way that works is that, it's free for you to go on there and look at the properties. Mm-hmm. But also make sure that you're looking for what you want. Because Zillow puts everything up there. It could be a property in probate, could be a property in foreclosure, it could be a property already with a deposit on it, it could be a property that's, like I said, not even for sale, coming soon. It could be, in other words, it could already be sold. So Zillow has all sorts of different properties up there. It could be a property like they'll say, pre-foreclosure. That means that when the people didn't make the mortgage payment, the lawyer sued them, and when he went to court, he mentioned that we are suing this person for not making their mortgage payment. Zillow looked and they saw that list and they said, okay, all these people that are being sued, we're putting them on our website, and they're going to call it a pre-foreclosure. That means if they don't make their mortgage payments at all, they're going to get foreclosed on. But you can't buy that property, through real estate because it hasn't been foreclosed on yet.
Exactly. People have to realize there's a process how foreclosure goes. And even though it says on Zillow pre-foreclosure, doesn't mean that the whole process has been completed yet.
So the properties you are looking for sale properties. That's mainly what the average buyer, first-time buyer is looking for. The properties on there that say for sale. So when you go on there, you look for those properties. Now, another thing you got to realize is that you may go on there and Zillow may recommend one of 3 agents. They may say, okay, this agent can show you this property. So you might assume that that is the agent who has the property listed.
Nope.
Maybe you can explain.
Yeah, usually, remember, Zillow's a marketing company. They have to make money. When's the last time you paid money to Zillow? Never. But who is paying money? The agents, because they want to be the top 3, top 2 agents that come up when you see that property. Because let's say you don't have a real estate agent or you haven't called us yet. I'm not sure why not. The number's right there. Remember, you call us any time of day. Any questions, we'll help you out. But if you don't have a realtor, Zillow's going to show you whoever realtor is paying them for that moment to be on the top of that listing. And if you want to see that house, you hit the button and he'll beat you there. But that necessarily means that he's the owner or being the listing agent for that house. He can just be a buyer's agent representing you to buy the house. So like I said before, remember Zillow's a marketing company and they make money off the fees they charge the agents to get their name out there.
Well, the main thing is, look at it this way. A lot of times people see the agent's picture next to the listing. So the average person would assume, well, this agent has all the information about this property and he knows what's going on about this property, so I'm going to call him to get the information. But they randomly take the photos, or they take whoever's paying them the most, and they put that photo next to that picture of that house.
Exactly.
So you'll call that agent up and the agent say, okay, yeah, sure, I can show you that house. I'll meet you out there at 2 o'clock. So when you get there at 2 o'clock, the agent gets there at 2 o'clock. He's never seen the house. So it's first time he ever saw the house too, because he's being matched up to meet you there and show you that particular property. The listing agent is the one who wrote up the contract with the seller and knows everything about the property. A good agent working to show you the house will call that other agent and get as much information as they can, so that when they meet you there, they'll know exactly what to say and, to be able to show all of the things to you of that particular property.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I wouldn't just show up and say, oh, let's go see the house, not knowing what could be wrong with the house or what was right with the house. So remember, every house, before we go show our clients, we really vet the house. For example, some of my clients are FHA mortgages, some are conventional. If you're FHA, I want to make sure the house is going to be FHA compatible with your loan. Make sure that there's no chip paint. Make sure that there's no missing railings. And I'll even call the agent and say, you've been to the house, obviously, could this pass FHA? And they'll give me a yes or a no. So you want to make sure the agent that is representing you knows what type of mortgage you are looking for, or that mortgage that you have from your pre-approval.
And a lot of times what will happen is that if you have an FHA mortgage, what's that mean? That means that the property has to be in very good shape in order for you to get your mortgage approved. Now, if the property, like my son said, on some of these listings in the Zillow, they don't give you all the full information. Now, if you call me and I would look and I'd say, this property needs railings, it's chip paint, it needs flood insurance, the basement wall is cracked, the utilities are not on. I know this is not going to qualify for FHA. So I will say to you, what kind of mortgage do you have? You say, oh, I have FHA. Then right away I know that, this is not going to be a property for you. So I'd say, well, this property will not qualify for the financing that you have. So therefore, we have to look for another property that's in better shape than that particular property.
And it's good that you have an agent that knows that, because some agents may not know that. And you get all the way to the finish line, you have the inspection, you have the appraisal, and the appraiser's going to be doing an FHA appraisal. He's going to mark all the things and show the bank, hey, does the bank know there's no railings downstairs? Does the bank know there's asbestos here? Does the bank know there's chip paint in the garage? And when a bank sees that, they're going to remind you again, hey, you have an FHA mortgage. The house has to be in better condition. And 9 times out of 10, you go to the seller, they're going to say, you didn't notice on the listing? It said as is. They're not fixing anything. Or it could be a probate sale. So you want to have an agent that's going to check all these before you even waste your time looking at the house. That could be a house you avoided altogether and save some money.
The other thing is that you have a lot of people that are coming into Fairfield County or into Connecticut from New York. And it's, with the time change now, it gets dark quicker than it was before. So how would you like to get out of your job in New York City, drive all the way to Connecticut, and going on just what you saw on a website, get there and find out the house is totally not what you thought it was, doesn't even qualify for your financing. Now you got to get back on the highway and drive all the way back to New York or wherever you're coming from, versus not having all of the full facts about that particular property.
Yes. And
So-
good. I was like, good luck looking at the house in the dark too. Trying to see the roof, trying to see the basement. That's why it's always best to see, obviously during the daytime hours.
So what we're telling you here is from experience, things that can save you a lot of time and a lot of money, and also, working with experienced agents or experienced people that have been in the business for a long time, and taking the advice of professionals that are going to be steering. Remember, at this particular jointure, we're trying to give you some information that will help you in your home buying process. The other websites, there's other ones out there too, which you probably might be familiar with. There's Trulia, that's another website. There's
Redfin.
Redfin. I think Redfin also has some of their own agents too.
Oh, yeah.
And there's, what's the other one there? Realtor.com. So you see there's different websites out there that take the particular properties and they put the same properties on their different websites. And you can go and a lot of the times now I find people, they put these apps on their phones, and the minute a property hits the market, boom, it shows up on their cell phone. They get a hit. Now, one of the things you might want to do to make your home buying process a lot easier is to find out yourself about as much of that property as you possibly can. Because when you get the hit, or they send you the property, it will tell you some information about that particular property. A disservice that you are doing to yourself is having all of the properties come in and automatically sending every one of those to the agent that you may be working with and say, I want to see all these properties. And he may not have time to research all of them, and he sets up an appointment to see 5 or 6 or 7 properties. Out of the 5 or 6 or 7 properties, there may be, if anything, 2 of them that qualify.
I was going to say that people will go on the app in the morning and see 7 new houses, not realizing, really go through those houses, look through them and say, can my mortgage even qualify for this? Look close at the pictures. See the house drive by the house too. We always tell our clients, if they're in the area, drive by the house before you even schedule a showing, because these pictures, and we know from ourselves, these pictures are taken at the best angles. I mean, you took it that angle just perfect that you missed there's a tree falling on the house over here, or there's an abandoned garage over here. You want to see the house in person, you want to see the neighborhood in person. So before that weekend comes up, you give your agent 20 houses, maybe drive by a few of them and eliminate a few, because you may say, I like the house, but the surrounding houses around there, I don't like the way they look.
Another thing you got to realize is that in today's time of technology, they can Photoshop these photos.
Yep.
You could take a photo and you could have a lot of garbage in the basement or in the garage, and that photo you can take a computer and eliminate everything inside the basement to make it look nice and clean.
Yes.
They're not going to change the structure of the photo or the size of the photo or the size of the rooms, but they can change everything around inside that picture to make it look more attractive. And they also can turn around, and if it's a totally vacant apartment, they can put furniture in there.
I was going to what they call virtual staging. That's when they'll put the fake chairs, the table, the kitchen island, to give you a better imagination of what the house could look like. But like I said, you still want to see it in person, because that fake furniture could be hiding the hardwood floors have stains in them or damage in them. You want to see the house in person no matter what.
This is one of the things that you want to do. It's just like when you go into a furniture store these days, or if you go to a car dealer. Years ago, they would have to show you all the cars they had out there and said, oh, we can get this in red, we can get this in blue. Now you can sit down in there and they can just change the color on the computer and put all the accessories that you want and take away all the accessories you don't want, and you can look at the photos right on the computer and they can customize that car to everything that you want. Then they hit a button and it gives you all the prices and everything that you just picked out, and there's that car. Now they hit the button and they order the car with all of the bells and whistles that you want, or they take away. Same thing with buying a house. It can be customized so that everything can be completely changed around.
Very true, very true.
So you want to make sure that, when you're looking at that particular house, that everything that you want is possibly there, but you remember, you're not going to get the perfect house
I was gonna say
unless you have it custom built.
People always say, my dream house, my dream house. The reason they call it starter house for a reason. Most people live in the house for the first maybe 6, maybe 7, 8 years at the max. Even though it's a 30-year mortgage, doesn't mean you have to stay there the entire 30 years. Remember, you're going to sell that house and hopefully get a bigger house, and there's stepping stones to it. But it all starts with you getting out in the field and start looking at the houses.
One other thing I want to tell you about is this. I took a couple out last week, okay? And they're looking for big rooms. Their big thing is big rooms. They need big bedrooms. They want a big kitchen. She likes to cook. So we're looking at homes, and we're looking at all the different homes. And, and I'm trying to explain to them, the bigger the house, the more taxes. So you can't get a big house and small taxes. It doesn't work that way because the taxes are based on the size of the house. And we were in one city and we saw most of the houses, and they were all too small, too small, too small. So now we're headed to another city. And boom, she looks at the cell phone, new house pops up, brand new, beautiful inside, hardwood floors, stainless steel appliances, granite countertop. Oh, I want to see this. This is the one. Mr. Scott, can you set up an appointment to see this house? So, okay, I look at it and I said, oh, the side is beautiful. Everything's remodeled. And I said, you want big rooms, you want big kitchen, you want big everything, right? And I said, the house we just left was 1,200 square feet, and you said that was a little too small. I said, look at this house here, it's a Cape, 900 square feet. I said, the pictures look great, but
Pictures
you
look amazing.
realize 900 square feet is smaller than the one we just saw. If the one we just saw is too small, then you're going to go look at something that's 300 square feet smaller than that, because everything is great, but you got to look at everything. You got to look at everything. So why are we going to go all the way to another city to look at a house that's much smaller than the one we just looked at? You want it to be bigger.
Exactly.
It's like trying to squeeze a size 12 shoe into or a size 9 foot into a 12 foot. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
So then I said, if you're looking at the houses, look at the square footage. So again, time goes by so fast.
It does.
We want to also mention, if you're looking to sell a house, call us. There's the number down there. Give us a call. We can help you.
We'll do a free CMA, which is a cost market analysis. Costs you nothing. It's free. And I'll give you a nice report of what your house could sell for in this market.
So until next week, God bless.
Amen.